Um, Anyone watching this, I've got a really bad feeling that something bad is going to happen. And I'll explain why in a minute. I'm actually quite frightened. I really am. And obviously, it's to do with the establishment. Now, I was going to make a humorous video about, well, I say humorous, the title of this live stream. I stood up to some staff in A&E, including the manageress, and I've just had a police call handler ring me, and they're saying that I'm suicidal. And I said, look, well, I'm not playing word games. And she said, I've got to clear the line. And she quickly got off the phone. Now, if there's anyone out there watching this, Warrior Wales, Paul, I don't know. I'm just feeling quite frightened. I'm really, really quite frightened because I knew what they've done to people. Could you do me a favour? Could you please email? I mean, I might be overreacting, but then how can I be overreacting with what they've already done to me? Could you please email I think they're trying to stitch me up. Eastbourne Police, I think they're trying to stitch me up right now. Could you please email Ben, who is, calm down, Ben, who is the chairman of UKIP, because I spoke to him. So he'll know who I am. Well, hopefully he'll remember me from Saturday. I'm really scared. I'm just really scared. I've just got this really bad feeling, and I've had it for some time now, that something bad is going to happen. I'm not messing around. You look at what they've already done to me. Now, I've just told this, you know how they're playing word games. Are you suicidal or aren't you? Do you have a suicide plan or don't you? They know what suicide ideation is. They're not stupid. They're playing games. And I think because I've just stood up to that horrible woman on the desk, Mandy, she did what that woman from Warming Up the Homeless did. She said, you know who I am? I said, I don't know your name. I asked a security guard, and the security guard was actually he was the one who was friendly, because a group of them came out. Now I know about who are the gossipers. Welcome to Eastbourne, folks. There's a lot of that here. There's a lot of demonic, evil behaviour going on. And I was telling this call handler, this 101 Sussex Eastbourne Police call handler, she said, are you going to go and do something? I said, well, I said, don't worry, I'm not going up to Beachy Head. Okay, so if anything happens to me within the next, I don't know, you'll know I haven't done that, because I said, oh no, I'm not going up to Beachy Head or anything. They want to know where I'm going. Now, I don't want to tell them. I said, oh, the irony, isn't it? You're ringing me. I said, so long as you're not one of the ones who has beaten and assaulted me. It was a female on, I understand they have to do these, welfare checks. I get it. But she said, she said, I'm going to have to clear the line now. And that's put me into a state of panic. Do they now feel that they've got to come after me? Do you see what I mean? The police. Because I said, look, I'm not playing word games. I had triage asking me if I was suicidal. And I said, do you have a suicide plan or don't you? That's what NHS 111 were doing. They're doing this. They're playing word games. It's all to screw you up. It's all to just wear you down. I said, look, I'm not even, I've had enough. I just want to get out of here. They're driving me nuts. I said, I'd already explained what happened was I said to the receptionist, I said, this Mandy, who said I knew her name and I didn't. God. And she's an older woman, I think. I don't know. But I said, I went up to reception and I spoke very quietly like this. I said, I just don't think it's going to be helpful. I've had no sleep. It's 7:49 in the morning. I've walked all this way from the hospital to the seafront with no coat. And I said, I think it would just be better if I just finished my email to the practice manager or manageress of the GP practice, because I just don't see what good it's going to be staying here in A&E. It's just, I mean, I could have hung around, yes, but bearing in mind, a mental health nurse in Brighton told the manageress of Law Stop, the managing director of Law Stop, told her that I was in a suicidal state when the council had used the police to bully me out of my childhood best friend's house at 4 South Road in New Haven. Yeah. And that was after the council had illegally locked me out of my SDR living flat on news that my father had died. So, yeah. And this all involves Eastbourne police. They're all complicit. They're killing me. I'm very pale. I could do with an iron infusion. I'm exhausted going up and down the stairs. I'm illegally homeless. I can't do this. Now, I was so polite and so calm. I wasn't raising my voice, but even if I was, it doesn't matter because I'd be in distress and they should know that. But I spoke so calmly like this. I then said, by the way, and I was very careful how I said it, I remember a year or two ago, you rolled your eyes at your colleague. She said, I didn't roll my eyes at you. I said, no, you rolled your eyes at your colleague. No, I didn't. I said, yes. And she'd already made this comment to me. This is the receptionist at A&E saying, oh, you, I've been telling her all the horror stories of what has led up to where I am now. And she said, well, aren't we all going through it? Or I said, I don't know anyone who's going through what I'm going through. I said, if you can find me someone, I will eat my hat. So you know someone, you know, who's got a landlady who should be in prison, who's committed a real serious crime, and yet Eastbourne police have been arresting me and threatening me with prison because I won't call my sister a man. Well, you know, you think, I mean, yes, maybe there are other people who have been through these things, but, and I said, because she didn't like the fact that she said, I never looked at you like that. I said, no, you a couple of years ago or so, I noticed how you went to your colleague, and I mentioned it at the time. And she said, look, young lady. I said, and I handled it all so well. My mother would be so proud of me. I handled it so well that I said, if you're referring to me as a young lady, because I'm 43, and obviously it's a compliment to be called a young lady at my age. But I said, I don't think you do mean it as a compliment because of because of her attitude, the way she was speaking to me. Now listen, young lady, you know. And I said, it's a bit like the social worker landlord saying, oh, you go around looking like $1 million. Like that. In a sort of jealous, bitter sort of way, It's not, young lady. It's not like that. Now listen, it was quite sinister, young lady. I said, don't speak to me like that. And then her manageress came out. What was her name? What's her name? Something Appleyard. I've forgotten the name of her manageress, but she came in to defend her. And she said, this Mandy said, this is my desk. And I said, it's not your desk. It belongs to me, all the people here, and the general public. It's not your desk. And I said to the manageress, it's not even your desk. So she came out from out of the desk. She said, Bryony, I said, what's your name? I said, you seem to know my name so well. Because Mandy said, you know my name. And that's exactly what this obnoxious volunteer at Warming Up the Homeless did. You know my name. Well, these people are paranoid. It's like the Irish woman at Let Women Speak. 1 minute they're being friendly, and the next minute, and I'm sure Eastbourne police are watching me right now. I mean, bearing in mind, I had gone through I pointed to the room where I said, PC Ford, that bald-headed thug, and PC McCarthy, they all beat me in that little room, had me on my back in handcuffs all night on my birthday, calling my partner a cunt. Oh, can you not use that language? Excuse me. That dangerous thug that beat me was calling my partner a cunt to my face. A filthy, foul-mouthed. I said, have you heard of Section 134 of the Criminal Justice Act? Torture. Now, at that point, I was sitting down with the manageress. She was right next to me. At one point, she said, oh, don't get in my space. I mean, it's pathetic. I said, I'm not anywhere in your personal space. See, they're just playing games. It's antagonism. It's all fun and games to them. I said, you're grown women. I said, you're dealing with members of the public. Can you stop pointing? I said, I've just been antagonized. And I said, I'm not pointing now. I'm doing this. I said, your colleague has just been insulted me, and it wasn't a compliment. She's being rude. Her attitude, she thinks she owns the desk. And you think this is all right? I don't think it's all right. Well, what do you want to, I said, she was behaving like a playground bully about a year or two ago to your colleagues, who are all women, Like, and this is exactly what happened at Let Women Speak. I said, I know, because I used to work with people like you. When I did care work, this is what I saw. And that lovely girl, Freya, who nursed my late mother at the old hospice. My mother would be 87, by the way. The old hospice, the old St Wilfrid's Hospice in Millgap Road here in Eastbourne. Freya, she said to me at the new hospice, there's been so much of this. She said, oh yeah, women can be bitchy. Now, I was bullied so badly by a notorious elderly matron that even Lisette in Sussex Partnership, who's under the thumb, who's working with bullies like that, and they're usually women. They're always women, aren't they? 9 times out of 10, they're women. You get the male NPDs and you get the women. And yeah, this, you know, Lisette said to me about the Irish matron who made me physically sick, violently sick from bullying. She said, oh yeah, I heard she could be a bitch. So that's in a psychiatric unit. So I've now got the attention of this manageress, and I'm using all of as I'm staying calm. I said, isn't it funny how you've got all these security guards coming out? Yeah, because you're raising your voice, Bryony. I said, yes, of course I am. I've just been antagonized by a member of your staff, and that's exactly what happened yesterday at the doctor's surgery. You see? I said, she just doesn't like the fact that I have pointed out, because narcissists never do. They don't like it when you point out something they've done that's wrong, that's nasty, and you handle it very well, because they're bullies that never grew up. They're bullies in a playground that never grew up, and they just get worse with age. Now, the thing is, as I said, I didn't know that this receptionist's name was Mandy. It was the security guard who told me. I said, why is it that she was, and I even said it to her face as well. I said, why is it that you were so friendly? Because they're so paranoid. These people are so paranoid that they give it away. This is a red flag for anyone who wants to know about someone who's been gossiping about them. This is a red flag. So hang on a minute, there's something wrong with my laptop. And I said 10 years ago, I came down to A&E when the receptionist used to be near the entrance, right near the entrance in Eastbourne A&E. And I said, I'd lost my mother to cancer and all of it. And I had a little vent to you. And she showed compassion. She was like, oh, because they all start off like that, don't they? Oh. And then it turns into, you know, this is why the Italian mother and daughter, you know, the elderly one who with the Zimmer frame who went back to Italy, she was like, fuck you. She didn't care. She said she saw me as like a daughter. Apparently a boyish looking woman went up to the daughter and the mother and said, don't talk to that woman about me. This was a few years ago. A random stranger in the street. I said, who were they? What was their name? What did they look like? So this is what I mean. People are paranoid. This Irish woman at Let Women Speak, Kelly J. Keane, she was acting like Kelly J. Keane's handler. She was friendly to begin with. She said she advised that I go to the Free Speech Union, and they're apparently giving people the wrong legal advice, which I've had from another law firm and all this nonsense. And basically, what was I going to say? yeah, this Irish woman at Let Women Speak did the same thing. She thought that I was a man. They said, first of all, I was embarrassed because I'm an amazing woman, right? I'm doing all of this completely on my own, right? I'm being superwoman. I'm doing the thing that Bryony isn't supposed to be able to do for the sake of survival. And it's killing me. They are killing me. So I go up there. I went up there. Before I went up there in March, I got there too late when it was raining. It was, the heavens had opened. It was February. I was crying all the way there and all the way back. So when I got there in March, I'm still emotional. I find it very difficult being in London now. I'm in a very disassociative state. And they could learn something from me. Kelly J. Keane could have actually learned something from me, because I had a locum, Dr. Innes Cameron, said that me and my transgender sister need trauma-based therapy, and I've had nothing but trauma. I was telling this paramedic that, and he was rolling his eyes at me. So I thought, oh gosh, I'm talking about the paramedics that took me to A&E earlier, a few hours ago. So, but none of this is happening to them. And do you know what? They deserve everything they get, because I just want to get the hell out of this country. But anyway, so to finish what I'm saying, this Irish woman at Let Women Speak, back in March, she was paranoid that I was with a group of people that I wasn't with, and she was a bit off with them. And I found it really embarrassing, because one of them was a Christian girl, and she was like, oh, well done to you for speaking out. And then she was like, who are you? I've never seen you before at the pub. And I thought, oh my gosh. I never said anything at the time, but that was a red flag. Now, this Irish woman took my email address and suggested that I go to the Free Speech Union to take legal action against the police. Ironically, she said, your sister is 50. She should know better than this. Well, she then behaves like a bully herself. Kelly J. Keane is the same age as my transgender sister, by the way. She's 51. They're 51 this year, right? So, but this Irish woman turned really weird the next time I went back up there in May with the bruises caused by Eastbourne police at the Strand Hotel. Again, that's a hotel that was on GB News for illegal immigrants, and I've paid for the privilege of getting abuse from the staff. I have paid, illegally paid, whilst I've got a landlady who should be in prison. The police don't want to know about that, though, do they? They just want to know if I'm suicidal, so that they can, I suppose, lock me away and throw away the key, because they're all just psychopaths. So anyway, this Irish woman was then acting like Kelly J. Keane's hand. Kelly J. Keane said, no, I don't want you to speak again. I said, but I've got bruises caused by the police. I said, this was after the Supreme Court ruling in Parliament to say what woman is a woman. This Irish woman was so angry that I got to speak to she was acting like her handler, like her bodyguard. Oh, she went to Scotland Yard yesterday. Oh, give her some space. I said, I've only spoke to her for 5 minutes. No, you did not. In her strong Irish accent. No, you did not. I said, why are you being so hostile? Oh, where's all this demented cult behaviour coming from? It's creepy. So I told Ben, who is the chairman of UKIP, this, and he was shocked to hear this. But what I'm saying is, it's no different to the woman who wanted to sue me, and I couldn't remember her name, so she's paranoid about me. The woman who I've had to report to the Charity Commission, to now this Mandy on the reception desk in A&E. It's like, how old are you? And again, it's just like what's her name? The it was so demonic. It just reminded me of what's the name of that woman? Jean, the auxiliary nurse. Again, gossipy, gossipy, gossipy. Oh, you got the help, you did. And her daughter, who can't stand her, neither can her grandson. She's apparently going senile, attacking autistic children in Greg's. Yeah, Motormouth, the auxiliary nurse. I mean, honestly, they're the worst. The worst narcissists are the ones in churches who call themselves Christians, who preach the Bible endlessly, and who work in hospitals. This landlady, who's in contempt of court, who threatened to dispose of my valuables, who caused me to lose blood, she was a matron apparently at the Princess Royal Hospital or something. She wanted to help me write a book because she knew the property managers who were protecting criminals who attacked me at 12 Belmore Road. And her friend in Seaford has sent me a harassing email, and she watches my YouTube. And I was telling this Mandy on the desk in A&E, I just told her, I pointed to the little room behind me where the police, PC McCarthy and PC Ford, the bald-headed thug, they broke my phone. I had to replace it with this one. They ripped my shirt. Oh, and there's where the welfare officers saying, can you get a thread, a needle and thread it back on? And my hands were all you know the handcuffs, they cause swelling. My hands were like balloons and I had to have an x-ray. Do you know what Mandy said to me? Maybe they were doing it for your own protection. I said they stopped me from going to the toilet. They stopped me for having water. They got in my face and called Darren a C-U-N-T. The fat thug called PC McCarthy, that hairy ass thug. Do you know what? They're a danger to the public, because had I not been such a nice lady, and they wonder how some people get killed. But the irony is they thought that I was going to kill them on Beachy Head, because they took something that I'd said out of context in anger and distress because of what they've done to me. All by design. So this Applegate, the manageress, this is in A&E, she's sitting down right next to me. And I'm telling her what's happened. I said, do you realise that a hospital worker said to me and Darren that they did nothing about a drunk for 3 hours, but I got assaulted and injured when I put my arm up to protect Darren, and I got dragged along the ground, and a door slammed into my face. She wasn't listening. She wasn't interested. I said, look, if you want to go and protect your colleague, if you think it's fine, what's the point of me complaining to pals? You just carry on doing your woman gossip. But I said, that's just disgusting. It's unprofessional. And that desk does not belong to any of you. It belongs to the public. Or what was it that you said what was it that you said to Mandy in the first place? I said I'd already explained. I don't think it's going to be worth me staying here. Because, look, what's the point? When the manageress of a law firm is not interested, when I was their client, that a mental health nurse is saying that I shouldn't be homeless, telling the director of Law Stop. You can go and have a look on is it Trustpilot? My review is up there and they've responded to me. It's not just me who's complained about law stop. Other people have said the same thing. The council side with the police and the If you don't, you know, I had a director of a law firm up in London say they've got to offer you at least 3 flats. They can't just bully you out of. Oh, yes, they did, though. Thanks, Jackie. Thanks, Jackie and Jamie. Jamie remembers me from Annecy, from primary school. I said, oh, this used to be my childhood best friend's house before I knew her. Oh, Chloe. Oh, right. Yeah, I remember you from Annecy. I thought, oh, yeah, I vaguely remember your face. The police have said we've got to threaten you out of here. Oh, really? Really? And yet you and your mother said you like helping people. Heard it all before. Yawn. Yawn. You know, I almost got a kick out of what happened earlier. That's my therapy, dealing with narcissists, holding up a mirror. They don't like it. But you need to do it. You need to hold up a mirror. But I'm not going to be... I'm not going to, you know... I'm laughing, but when this police call handler said to me, Bryony, are you suicidal or aren't you? I said, I don't know if I'm going to be suicidal later on or not. How do I know? It comes and goes. I'm illegally homeless. Oh, but we don't want to hear about that. We don't want to know, Bryony. These people, they're all on another planet. You know, I'm illegally homeless. I've got all these problems. And you expect me to tell you exactly with word salad, that's the phrase. Using word salad, you want me to say exactly whether I'm suicidal now or not. Yes or no? Yes or no? What if yes or no doesn't exist? So I can't have an in-between, even though there is an in-between. No, we want a yes or no. And that's at that point I say I'm not playing these word games. I'm illegally homeless. That's all you need to know. I'm using up my late father's inheritance on the hotels. I've lost blood. I said, the paramedics, they said, you don't need paperwork. You don't need paperwork. Yes, they do need paperwork. They need to see this. Otherwise, what's the point? What's the point? To be given a gnat's piss cup of tea? That Kiwi woman a few years ago. Oh, there are people here who are sicker than you. I'll make a decent cup of tea. It's gnat's whittle. I like builder's tea. Couldn't even get me that. Oh, but there are people that are sicker than me. Of course there are. But in what context? Because I actually had the manageress sit right next to me and say to me, there are people here who are sicker than you. I said, oh, really? Really? So what about when I lost blood and they wonder why I want to take this information with me to A&E? Because it clearly states that I could have a life-threatening condition, and the landlady illegally locked me out on the 5th of July. The 5th of July. This was last year. I had a doctor ring me in one of these bloody hotels. 30% of these hotels are used for illegal immigrants, apparently. According to the woman from New Haven, 30% of Eastbourne hotels are used for illegal immigrants. And my late father's inheritance is nearly completely depleted. So what are you going to do with me then? Section me? Oh, good. Her money's run out now. What are we going to do with Bryony? Should we have a little gossip? Should we have a little playground gossip about it? You are all pathetic. I visited my mother in that hospital when she was dying of cancer. I had a care coordinator come up to me, a care coordinator who never met me before, called Ella Williams. Remember that? Ella Williams, at the new hospice at St Wilfrid's Hospice. Why did she suddenly come up to me? I had been going to activity week in there. This was 9 years ago. A few years later, I'm being bullied. She's shooing away nurses who nursed my late mother. And that's exactly what the manageress, I've forgotten what her name is. Again, she's another one who said, "You remember my name?" I can't remember names. You might remember my name. Because I'm not afraid to tell the truth, and that's why you're afraid of me. Grow a pair. Grow up. You're pathetic. And this is exactly why I've taken the baton from my late mother. People used to go up to my mother and say, "Oh, you should get a medal for what you've done." They used to come up to me and say, "Your mother should get a medal for what she's done." I was so proud of her because she was the only person who had the balls to speak out in church against the appraisal of a pervy headmaster that the PTA and the governors wanted to get rid of, but no one had the guts to say anything. And she got up in church and she shouted, what does Yeshua say about Ephesians 5:11? Have nothing to do with the fruitless deeds of evil, but rather expose them. And that's what Mum did. And I'd left primary school. I was 12 and I wanted the ground to swallow me up because that's normal for a child. But at the same time, I was like, yeah, that's my mother. I'm going to grow up to be like her. And little did I know what she had been through in her life. She's 87. She had an illegal abortion 24 years before I was born, a violent marriage. We could laugh about things that other women can't talk about. We could laugh about being exposed to and touched as a child, which might seem strange, but, that's the resilience that we had. Maybe not resilience in other areas because everybody's different, but you really just don't know just until you're tested. But there's just no need for any of this. People need compassion. People need support and compassion. Yeah, I said to this manageress, what was her name? Something Applegate. The manageress of this receptionist in A&E. I said, I wouldn't behave like that. And then at one point, she just went silent. I think it's when I said that. And she said, silence speaks volumes. But, they're just playing gay, don't get in my space. I'm not getting in your space. I'm animated. I thought we'd already, oh God, they just, all these people want to do is argue. That's all they want to do. So, yeah. The thing is, it's very, very frightening. And that's what I said yesterday. I said, I'm scared. There are some people that are okay with being around. The whole reason why they gave me a self-contained flat at SDR Living was so that I would be safe. I said to this Mandy, I said, what normal, before she turned all weird and said, you know, young lady, and denied having rolled her eyes at her colleagues a year or two ago. I said to her, I said, what normal people lock you out of your brand new flat on news that your father has died? And I said it like that, in that tone. What trained staff, people who are trained to deal with complex needs but can't deal with the death of a parent without getting the managing director to lock you out of your flat? These people are dangerous and unhinged. And I had to, well, even the people that I worked with when I did care work weren't as bad as that. And I said, Andy Camfield, I said to her and her manageress, I said, Andy Camfield is in prison for 7 years because my eldest sister's friend, who was on the local ITV news, because he had defrauded her and other people at the Lansdowne Hotel. And he was the one who said we get complaints about that place all the time. This is a Lansdowne Hotel manager, right? Who's got links to the head of police. And they were all complicit. And twice I was beaten and injured by PC McCarthy, who made my hands swell up, and I had to get paramedics to look at them in that flat because of what they did to me on Beachy Head, on our world famous suicide spot. So why would I want to see Twiggy, the mental health nurse who works for the new GP practice, when she is one of the people who was complicit in failing me? She worked at SDR Living. They locked me out of my brand new flat. I mean, I'm just, it's beggars belief, isn't it? Beggars belief. What normal person does that? And the night porter was sacked after 25 years of turning up drunk, apparently, according to someone in the town. And my care coordinator was also sacked. And I told this manageress in A&E this. I said that this bent solicitor was going to help me make a subsequent claim against the council for what they did to me. But now they're doing the same thing over and over and over again. It's gang stalking, it's harassment, and it's all criminal. It's illegal. They are pushing me to suicide. They are pushing me, in essence. So anyway, I'm going to end this live stream, but I've gone on a bit longer than what I wanted to, but I obviously I haven't had any sleep, so my anxiety is probably playing up, but I did start to get a little bit afraid because these people are unpredictable. They're dangerous. I mean, you can often tell the red flags, or you can ignore them. But when they're unpredictable, when you just don't know what they're going to do next. I mean, I was telling this lady yesterday that this woman that I was speaking to, who thinks Darren doesn't like her, there's another woman who thinks Darren doesn't like her. So I don't know if Darren doesn't like women talking to me, but I don't know. But this woman I was speaking to was saying, God, I've forgotten what I was going to say now. What was I going to say? I was going to say something. Oh, this is so annoying. I was going to say something. What was I going to say? She said something to me. What did she say? Oh, I've forgotten what I was going to say. Oh, I know that I was going to say something about this woman that I spoke to yesterday. She said she said I'm a witness to what happened yesterday with the security guards. Some of it, but she also said I know that she's a targeted individual, and but in a different way, because I think the thing is she hangs around drunk people and unsavory people, and it's a bit strange. She wouldn't tell me where she's living, but she didn't want to tell me where she is, but she's got no heating, no electric, and which means she's got no water, no hot water. And I'm like, how can you not have hot water? I mean, I've got OCD, you see, but she's not bothered by that. So to some extent, she's okay with her targeting. And the thing is, the people I get talking to, without being rude, they don't mind being around unsavory people, whereas I don't like being around people, period. And this is why. Now, the whole reason why I had a self-contained flat was for my safety. I'm a rape victim. I'm a domestic abuse victim. And the abuse has just gone on and on and on and on. And the harassment, the besmirchment of my good name, and the smear campaign. So, because obviously the Herald have libelled me. Now, obviously, I'm easy pickings for cowards because I'm on my own all the time. But, you know, I can't be around people. I cannot be around people. I'm waiting. I'm speaking the truth. I'm trying to get help. And I'm waiting for the right timing, yeah, when I can be around people that are safe, right? And if no one knows what that means, well, they should know what it means, right? You've got to be around like-minded people and people who are awake. Yeah. So anyway, I don't want to bang on again, bang on too much. I'm really annoyed. There was something I was going to say about this woman, and I've forgotten what it was that she said, and it's really annoying me. Oh, what did she say to me? She said something. But anyway, I barely had any sleep, so that can make your mind fly a bit. I know that. But I genuinely got a bit scared because, like I said, these people are unpredictable. If the police can arrest, that's it. That's what I was going to say. Like I said, I told this woman this. I said, talking about unpredictability, you know, like what happened at NICE last, I think it was October of last year, October, November time. And I went to, I've said this in the previous live stream, I got locked out of, all I said to the man at NICE was, you didn't have to be rude. And I said it like that. He called me madam, and then he called me crazy lady, and then he called me madam. This is what I mean. There's just so much of it. And unfortunately, I'm on the receiving end. And then, and guess who turned up? The same pervert who had sexually assaulted me, taken evidence of a school teacher tenant assaulting me at 68 Whitley Road. And And then he goes on to sexually assault me 5 days after I reported common assault. Because even Dr. Singh said to me, "Did you report it?" I said, "I'm too shattered. I can't keep up with all these complaints. I've had no sleep, which is going to cause more anxiety and more. This is killing. This is killing me." I just don't know what to do. I mean, paramedics are useless, aren't they? They don't want to see paperwork. So what is the point? And I can only get an iron infusion through the doctor's surgery. I need help. I've been neglected. I can't do this on my own. But anyway, what I was going to say, about unpredictable behaviour. I said to Michelle, this woman, I said how the police said they were giving me a lift, but they'd handcuffed me. You see, if I was an auditor, they're making money out of me, right? They're filling their coffers by committing crimes against me, Eastbourne police. But there are YouTubers out there who make their money by suing the police. It is just pure evil. So my late father's inheritance is nearly completely depleted. I'm in arrears paying for storage. I was telling Michelle how Stuart Leach at the council, I've got the email from him where he is supposed to have looked into my garage storage. It was Barclays who told me that the council had sold my garage last year. It's got valuables of mine. No one's told me this. And also, why did you and Morrison want evidence of my partner's caring role for me when I told Care for the Carers that Darren's no longer my carer? And was he ever? Because Dr. Singh is saying to me, when was the last time I worked? Every fucking hour. Why not ask Darren, when was the last time you worked? Pardon my language, by the way. Because Darren's sleeping all day. He's getting all the rest. He's not working. But he's left me all alone with this. Thanks, Darren. And he's acting very strangely. He's assaulted me. He's got his door on the chain, acting strangely. And he told me, he screamed at me to prosecute him in the landlady's house. And she should be in prison. So what's he afraid of? What is Darren hiding? Why is no one doing anything? So anyway, there we are. So there's trauma and there's catharsis in this. You see what I mean? And mostly overall disassociation for the sake of. I mean, have a look at this. I still haven't rung these people up, right? What the hell was this all about? Hey, who got my details at Elms Avenue? Oh, that crazy nut house place. Who the hell is this? Who is this? What? This is the place where I had to deal with nutters, drunks, another one of those places in Eastbourne. A woman from the traveller community came in covered in blood. I was there in 2019, so why is it taken till January of this year for this law firm to... What? Who? What? Do you see what I mean? There are nutters in this town. Nutters! Nutters! Look. Who the hell is Rex? Your case has... the investigation... no further action against you. Who? What? What is this? Richard Body Law. They're all nutters. They're all nutters. So I don't know. I just don't know what is going on. I really don't know. And this I received this. I in fact actually, did it go to Darren's? It must have gone to Darren's address. How did I end up with? I don't even know how I ended up with this. I don't even know. And this was around the time that Joe Holden was hanging up on me, and Ewan Morrison, the caseworker, kept saying, you know, he'll still see you, and kept hanging up on me. And all these people have done is lie. Anyway, that's me done. Do you know what? I can imagine these paramedics, because I'm actually really, really pissed off with. I'm sick to the back teeth of them. I'm sick to the back teeth of the lot of all of them. Because the way they're all treating me, it's all similar behaviour. It's boring, same phrases. Do you know what? Several times I've now heard. I hadn't heard this phrase for a while, but it's coming back. We're going round in circles. They're just so brainwashed. It's so boring. I just want to get out of here. Do you know what? I was watching a video by a woman who is so burnt out. She does these biblical, scriptural videos. And she's ill. She's got a physical illness. Do you know, I just don't want to go on anymore. I think even that triage nurse might have, I don't know. I'll tell you what, though, if I do myself in, it's okay, because I'm gonna everyone's gonna know about it, and they can carry on, you know, what they're doing, whatever. Because I just can't wait to be with my mother and grandmother. These narcissists need me so badly. Okay, for their narcissistic supply. That's what they need. That you know, they need me for their supply. They don't know how to love. They're insecure. They're full of hatred. They hate themselves. They hate everyone else. They use other narcissists for their supply. They've got no real friends. Narcissists do not have friends. They do not know how to love, and they all use and abuse each other. Why did my partner blame my sisters? Oh, this was all happening before I came along. Why are they all doing exactly the same thing, singing off the same hymn sheet, doing the same thing? They'll just destroy, they'll self-destruct. I really can't wait to be gone from here, because I know where I'm going, and I know I just there are so many people who want to get out of here. You can't wait to get out of here. No, nurses aren't taking the juice, you know, they've got an oversupply of flu juice, yeah. I wonder why. But anyway, no, it just, seriously. So I know who I'm going to email. I'm going to email this man that I met. This independent politician. I better finish this email to the manager before I just completely collapse, because I'm going to collapse from exhaustion. But a little while ago, I was feeling quite frightened. Like I said, Eastbourne police are unpredictable. They're certainly not there to protect me. I honestly can't go on like this. So if I say I can't say that I'm suicidal, because I don't trust them. You know, they just wouldn't stop. They dragged me into St Mary's House in handcuffs, and then 4 months later arrested me out of there. You think this is normal? Yeah. It's just not worth being in this world. I just look forward to being at peace with my mother, my grandfather, and my father. The Swan Advocate confirmed that my sisters illegally went through my father's things without me. I mean, come on. Come on. Do you think I would treat someone else if someone was telling me what I'm telling these people? And I said this to the manageress and she didn't like it, because I'm from a different planet to them. They've just grown up as bullies. I don't belong in this world. If someone came to me telling me what I'm telling other people, I'd say that is disgusting. Why is no one helping you? But I feel like all those people are dead and gone. My mother's friends, my mother's generation, those people, they don't exist anymore. So yeah, it is very frightening. I'm frightened. I'm genuinely frightened. So I don't know if I'm going to be suicidal or feeling suicidal in an hour or two. It's winter now. Where am I going to go? Do you know what? I don't even want to think about it or talk about it, because I will start having very dark thoughts. So I've just got to finish this email. A bit of support in the community. I could have got a child to do this for me. I could have got a child to do it. A 5-year-old could have done it. Anyway, that's me done. So there was something I wanted to say. I couldn't remember what it was, but I've basically said it all. So just, yeah. Okay. Just go back and listen to what I said about this receptionist if you want to have a sort of a laugh, because it's kind of amusing. Like I said, when you call someone out and they don't like it, and they deny it, or maybe they don't remember, but I love it how narcissists gaslight you into, they say, oh, it never happened. I mean, even Bronya used to say to me, were about her being physically abusive to me. She said either it didn't happen or I deserved it. Do you see what I mean? But I tell you who was a witness, Grandma, because I nearly pulled Grandma out of the armchair and she had ulcerated legs. And I said, Grandma, tell her to get off me. Bronya, leave her alone. Now, when I tried to tell Bronya this for a second time, this was at the time when she wanted to talk about her transitioning. Oh, it's always about you. And she was deliberately upsetting me. So I walked out crying. I walked out of that pub crying. Interesting that, isn't it? Because then I get arrested because I say something hurty that she doesn't like, and that her support worker doesn't like, but I say it very gently. It's an opinion. Yeah, well, but I'm genuinely concerned about her, because I was saying to this